Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Regional Wastewater Advisory Committee meeting for today, whatever that is. What is today? Oh, September 28th, 2023. So great to see everybody. Jackson is not here today, so Eric is standing in his stead, and we're going to go ahead and have roll call.
All right, Allison.
Here.
Anne Marie.
Here.
Armando.
Presente.
Claire.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Eric.
Here.
Matt.
Here.
Rob.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Great. All right, we'll go ahead and have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, there we go. Now we're going to have the call to the audience. Is anybody here from the audience that would like to be called? No. All right. We're going to have the safety share. Does anybody have a safety share this week? We don't have our standard, which is Jackson coming up with something. So does anybody else have a safety share?
I can give one if you want.
Great.
This has to do with following GPS. And we always heard the stories about be careful following GPS if you're out in the boonies and it takes you on a side road. I was traveling last week for PTO and I had been following GPS where I was fabulously the entire trip. So I was predisposed to trust it. And I flew back into Phoenix and it was kind of later at night, but it was 6 o'clock where I'm not a problem. So I wasn't tired, but the GPS was insisting that to get on the highway, to get on I-10, that I needed to make a right-hand turn. And so this is about being careful with GPS in construction zones or recently new constructed construction zones, because it was insisting I needed to turn and do this cloverleaf. But the cloverleaf no longer existed. They had just made it so that it was an off ramp that was coming up and then a left turn on ramp. And if I had done that, I would have gone right into oncoming traffic being a wrong way driver. And it was just me paying attention enough to go, this doesn't look right. Let me pass this intersection, passed it, saw what was going on, confirmed that, oh my God, I just made the right choice. And I'm thinking of this in terms of, I've got young drivers that are like 16 years old that are predisposed to follow GPS. And so in urban areas, it's being careful when there's been recent or new construction, because it may seriously be wrong. And wow. This was Google Maps that I was following. It wasn't even just the car GPS that sometimes doesn't know what it's talking about. Usually Google does pretty good. So there you go. Be careful with GPS in construction areas.
That's a really good one. That's a new one. Anybody else have one?
Sure. Riding my bike to work this morning on the campus, and right at University and Euclid, a car turned in front of me, almost hit me. So slammed on my brakes and swerved as best as you can on a bicycle. Said some fresh words and kept riding on my way. Just awareness, though. Saw it happening.
Well, I guess I have one too, which is my husband traveled across the country on a trip to go see his mom, who's 94, and then on to another trip, and he got COVID in the plane. And then he gave COVID to his mom, and his mom went in the hospital just immediately. Although it's sort of preemptive now, it's like a predominance of caution, and she's fine as so far as we know. But it's just, we're kind of like hate thinking about having to mask and so forth, but we really have to be careful, especially when we're traveling. Any others? Okay. We will move on to the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of August 24th? Are there any changes to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
And is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, motion passes. We will go on to the discussion update. We're going to have the director's update with Jackson Jenkins, but
Was there a question?
oh,
Eric?
oh, Eric.
Eric, you might be muted still.
Yeah, I'll abstain from the minute vote since I was not a member last meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so you're not Jackson.
Really?
No.
Oh,
It says Jackson, but we're going to overlook that
Good.
and have you give the director's report if you don't mind.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
You're welcome.
for overlooking me. These three items were ones that Jackson put on the agenda to discuss and update you on the winter quarterly average reduction, adverse effects of flushing wipes, and an update on the compensation study implementation. So I'll start with the winter quarter average reduction. This has financial implications to our department's revenue stream. Winter quarter average are the months of December, January, and February, and we bill all wastewater users based on their average of those 3 months predominantly. Periodically, finance department does an assessment of the average winter quarter average flow, and it used to be 7 CCF, 100 cubic feet per month, for quite a while, and this year it got dropped to 6. Probably no surprise that our residents are continuing to use less water, therefore less discharge. The impact to us then from going to 7 CCF to 6 is that this winter quarter average user class figure is what we bill people on wells because they don't have a water meter. So everybody on a well is now going to pay less each month for their wastewater. And for new customers, they automatically get put on this average for the first year until they develop that 3-month average going for the following year. So all new customers then will also be billed less. We're charging $3.63 about per CCF. So the impact per customer is going to be not that large, but when you talk about, again, another reduction in an element of our revenue stream, we have to be monitoring that and see where that leads us going forward, both for this fiscal year's budget and the years going forward. The next topic is the adverse effects of flushing wipes, and I believe that came as a request from a member of the advisory committee. The best demonstration of this would be to show our industrial wastewater group has a nice little desktop demonstration of what toilet paper, how that dissolves very quickly, and how flushing wipes do not. We did not get that set up, but when TS&E comes and does an update presentation to you guys, I'll make sure that that demonstration is part of the presentation, because it's really interesting when we go to events with high school kids or even adults. It's a great demonstration to communicate to the community the damage that these non-disposable wipes are causing. So the big question is it still a problem? And the answer is absolutely yes. Can we quantify the impact? That's a little bit more difficult. We're seeing stoppages in the sewer system that have these rags in them. Was it caused solely by them, or was it also other debris? It's hard to tell. Our pump stations are getting these rags wrapped around the impellers and plugging the pumps, so there's a little bit more pump maintenance to remove them. And at the treatment facility, Jeff is here, can confirm that headworks, and if it gets past that on downstream to the components, there are impacts to these fibrous fabric pieces getting caught in operating machinery. So the third update, and the probably one that's impacting our staff the most right now, is the county's countywide classification and compensation study. On September 10th, the change in classifications and pay was implemented across the board to all employees. The rollout and notification sort of occurred in the last 2 weeks of what the employees' new grades were. And that's I'll describe that, what that means in a minute, and their classification and change in salary. So I'll step back to say, in the county, there are grades that all the classifications fall in. And it was 1 to 90 something, and they reduced it to 1 to 26. So now every classification in the county fits within a grade 1 to 26. Each one of those grades has a minimum salary and a maximum salary, so a grade range. The classifications are the specific descriptions of a job duty. And so multiple classifications can all be a grade 10. It's just where they fit within the hierarchy of responsibility and job duties, where that determines what grade the classification is given. So every employee moved to a new grade and a new classification. There is an appeal process that's ongoing right now for county employees to appeal that reassignment. If they felt they were placed into a classification that doesn't describe what their duties are, they can appeal. With this change in grade, there was also a change in the salary minimum maximum for many of the employees. About 80% of the employees in the county had a wage that was lower than the new minimum, and so they got a bump up to the minimum grade. In addition to that move, the county implemented a compensation and retention salary adjustment. So once every employee has been moved up to the minimum of the grade, or if they're already making more than the minimum, that's where they start. The county gave employees an analysis of either you'll get a 3% raise, and that was called the retention, or you'll get a compensation adjustment that would place you further into that spectrum of minimum and maximum. The formula was based on years of service with the county and years of service in that position. For the most part, many employees, that was a greater increase in pay than the 3%. And so they were moved up into the spectrum of the grade range. And the idea was to try to resolve some of the compression that had been occurring, where we had a lot of employees in the first quartile, even though they had a lot of experience. This allowed them to spread out a bit across the pay range. For our department, all but 15 employees received a pay increase of one kind or another. Those 15 were new employees within the last year, and the county has said they'll be looking at those as they move to phase 3. So what I just described was the phase 1, move to the new compensation and classification, and phase 2 was this monetary, adjustment to salary for retention or compensation. There's also an appeal process for that formulaic approach, and that will start on the 29th. So employees are having an opportunity to appeal these decisions in 2 different areas, and Jackson is deeply involved with reviewing and getting those appeals up to human resources for vetting and resolution. I think I'll stop there.
Are there any questions about any of that? It is, your 2 reports, 2 of them talked about the finances, one being reduction in revenue, and one being an increase in compensation and costs.
Thank you for that lead in. The impact to our department of this compensation study is $1.2 million that we have been directed by finance to find that funding within our operating budget for this year. Next year, we will already have those salaries within our salary and wage item, and the budgeting will be a little bit more straightforward. But for this year, because it happened past the adopted budget, we are having to find $1.2 million to reduce our expenditures to cover that cost.
Yes, Allison.
I had a question about your first topic, the winter quarter average reduction. So people's bills are based on their year-round bills are based on their December, January, February usage. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so the base level is now 6 CCF per month, but it can go up from there, correct?
That's correct. The class average. So in the class average, we really look at is residential. So in looking at last year's water usage for those months for residential, it turned out the average was 6 CCF.
Okay.
But it could be higher if the water use is higher.
Got it. Okay, so before the lowest you were billing was 7 CCF per month, but that's lowering down to 6. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from anybody? Just to follow up on the sort of the economic impacts to the department. Do you envision having a rate increase, or will we be having those rate increase discussions this year potentially?
I can't speak to whether we're going to have the discussions, but looking at all of our economic indicators, we're feeling more and more pressed to continue doing the jobs that we need to do with the revenue stream we have. That will be a conversation we have to have with finance to do the analysis. We'll look closely at what our projected costs are going forward. The chemical costs, I don't think are coming down to where they were previously.
Yeah.
So that was a huge impact to our operating budget. And there's many, many other areas that are still inflationary impacted that until we see relief from that, we're going to be running into a thinner margin to be able to do our business. And this 1.2 million for the salary, well, it was well-deserved for the employees and we fully support it. It is an impact to our operating budget that was unplanned.
Okay. All right. Great. Anything else? Yes. Eric.
My question is, you indicated that the cost of the implementation of this salary adjustment will come out of operational. However, do you see any impact coming to the capital side of the budget?
Good question. That is an area we're also looking at. So when I mean operational, it's not just our O&M budget, but it would also be our capital budget. And that option is being looked at right now. So it's either a cut in our line item budgets of 1.2 or a cut of 1.2 out of our spending authority for this year's capital program, or maybe a mix between the two.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eric, that's great. The next item is something that actually I requested last time, which is a round robin and also a discussion of the goals of the committee. I felt like we needed a round robin introduction because we really have a lot of new members. Some of us have been here for a long time. So I thought we could go around the room to each of our advisory board members and maybe everybody in this room just to make sure people know each other. I think it would be good to say, your name, who you represent, and also maybe a bit about your history, what you bring to the group. So I could start if you like, and then we'll just progress around. Many of you know me because of my recent taking on this task as chair, but just for those of you who weren't at that meeting, my name is Claire Zucker, and I just recently became the chair of this committee. I represent Sharon Bronson on this committee. I have been here for, I can't quite remember, I tried to remember on the way over, but I think like 5 years I've been serving here. My background is, my background pertaining to wastewater comes from my 20 plus years at Pima Association of Governments, where I was for a time the 208 planner, the Section 208 of the Clean Water Act, the planner for the region. And that's where I became very engaged with Pima County wastewater and the activities of the county. I ended that part of my career as the sustainability director for air quality, watershed planning, and transportation planning. After that, I went to the University of Arizona, where I was the associate director and then for a short time, the acting director of the Water Resources Research Center, and also had an opportunity to work with you. And then finally, I have spent the past several years as the director of Pima County Cooperative Extension. I'm really engaged with the wastewater work and find it to be fascinating. When I moved out of wastewater and moved out of water, I felt a loss of being in touch with my community. So it's been really fun to be back and have some engagement. So that's what I bring to this committee. And now I think we should go around the room and just say who we are and so forth. So let me start here. And let's just have everybody introduce themselves, even if they're not a member of the committee.
It's my turn. I'm Jaime Rivera with the Conveyance Division. I'm Deputy Director there. I've been there for 5 years. Before that, I was working construction projects, CIP projects, programs and such for the department. I've been here for about 20 some years. It's conveyance and pump stations and odor control.
Thank you.
Craig Canizero. So I currently work with Westland Resources. I've been working in water, wastewater my whole career. So the last 27 years, started with EEC here locally. And then after I graduated from U of A, and then went to Westland, and I worked for a little while at URS, but I've been back with Westland for the last 12 years. And yeah, I've been working with water or wastewater, county wastewater particularly, a lot of, a good chunk of my career, working on lift stations, pipelines, all throughout the system. So that's my experience. I don't have quite the other pedigrees, but I've just been on the committee recently. I am representing Matt Hines.
Okay, I'm Kirsten Wansvik. I am principal and water practice lead for Stantec's Tucson office. I've started my career right here at Pima County Wastewater, post-grad school. I've done some wastewater work, worked with Jim Doyle and Jeff Pravat. I was not exactly an IWC, but I did special project for deputy director. Got my wastewater operator's license that way. Jumped to what was the Celabar, which got bought out by Stantec. And most of the rest of my career has been with Stantec. I did a short stint. I sat on a water board up in Colorado, moved temporarily back to Colorado for a short time. But otherwise, I'm with Stantec, and I'm just here to always keep in touch with whatever's going on from the county wastewater. So good to see you all.
Well, I'm Jim Doyle, and I work for wastewater department. Kind of do what they ask me to do, not much. Of course, you got
How many years have you worked for the department, Jim?
47. Oh my gosh. Awesome. That's awesome. Let's go. Let's just go this way around and then we'll go. Go ahead.
Oh, Eric Wiedewalt. I am the Deputy Director of Technical Services and Engineering for the next 2 days. Jaime and I will be switching positions starting Monday.
Really?
So new fun challenges going forward. And I've been here 25 years, working both at the Conveyance Division and downtown doing engineering, technical service. Of course, we were all involved in ROMP. So that's it. Thank you.
I'm Jeanette Lee. I've been working with the county since 2015 and doing this since February. So nice to meet you all again.
After that, I've been with Pima County for 30 years. I'm the Deputy Director for Treatment, Research, and Innovation.
Good morning. My name is Max DeSante. Born and raised in Tucson, went to U of A, always lived in this area. I've been with the county for 5 years. Before that, my background is in chemistry, environmental analytical chemistry. And now currently I am per the new compensation study, my title is Permit and Regulatory Compliance Manager. So manager of Water Campus and CREO that we're all at right now. We have IWC, we have our laboratory, water quality, data management unit, admins teams, and been doing that for 2 years so far. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is great for us to all know each other. I'm just going to go across the screen up there, and then maybe Jeanette can help me with anybody, with other people. I can't really read all those. Maybe you can read them on there. But let's start with Eric, our newest member.
You're muted. I cannot unmute you, Eric. You're gonna have to do it.
There you go. Yeah, good morning. First meeting, so you get to put up with me now for a little while. I'm a representative from Steve Christie's office, District 4. I am currently the chair of the Green Valley Domestic Water Improvement Districts Board. I also serve on a couple of committees here with the Green Valley Recreation. Moved over here, actually escaped from California in 2017 and have been here since then. Background, I've been in sales and marketing for most of my adult working life. I've also owned my own trucking company, and I've graduated from the University of California, Santa Barbara with a bachelor's degree in geology. There you go.
I have a master's in geology from UCSB.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I do.
We'll
Honest.
have to talk.
All right, Matt.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Matt Matthewson, actually Charles Matthewson, but my wife calls me Matt, so does everybody else. I've been on the committee since 2014 as a representative of Steve Christie. I've served as the vice chair for a couple of terms and chairman of the CIP subcommittee and currently the chairman of the finance subcommittee. I started out my education, professional education at the U of A Law School. Graduated in 72, became a member of the Arizona Bar in 73, and promptly went into the United States Air Force, where I served as a judge advocate until 1997, retiring in the grade of colonel. Then went to work for Arizona Department of Environmental Quality as the Southern Regional Manager in Tucson, and served a 6-month stint as the Deputy Director of the department up in Phoenix. But knew that I wanted to stay in Tucson, so left the department in 2001 and became a work associate of Claire at Pima Association of Governments, where I was the environmental planning director for 4 years until I took my second retirement, and that was in 2005, and then promptly became a part-time consultant at RWRD, where that part-time job morphed into a full-time job in time, and I left. It didn't really count as a third retirement, but some people kid me for that. In 2014, left the department as the special assistant to the director. And since that time, happily retired, served also as the chairman of the board of Vantage West Credit Union for 3 years, and then director on that board for another 9. So happy to bring that mix of experience, especially in the environmental, regulatory and planning arena, and certainly experience from the department itself, where I was pretty closely involved in every budget that came along, including CIP and operations. So it's wonderful to have been able to continue involvement with the department and the fine people that work there since 2014.
Rob.
Hi, I've been in Tucson for about 30 years. I've been a social activist, social justice activist since high school. I graduated from University of Denver with a degree in geology and geography, actually, minor in geology. Sorry, and I was very interested in soil science and water issues at that time. Since I've been in Tucson, I've been very involved in environmental issues, mapping wildlife corridors, and that sort of thing. I was a founding member of the Coalition for Sonoran Desert Protection. So Adelita has me as her representative here, and I feel like I give a little bit different viewpoint on this committee than some of the other folks who have a lot more technical expertise. And so since we're a diverse community, I think I have a little bit to offer in that way. Anyway, it's been really great being on this committee. I've been on several committees through the city and county, but this is really a great committee. It's a good department, but you know, they need some pushing every once in a while, and some guidance and some help. So that's what we're here for, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. Allison.
Thank you, Claire. My name's Allison Jones. I am currently a representative on this committee for CWAC, which is the Tucson Water Citizens Advisory Committee. I was appointed to CWAC by Steve Kozachik. I'm originally from Southern Louisiana, and I am a third-generation geologist. I got my bachelor's degree from Louisiana State University, master's degree from Colorado School of Mines. I reinvented myself as a hydrogeologist 30 years ago while I was living in Maine. I moved to Arizona in 2006 and landed at Clear Creek Associates, which is a consulting firm that's part of a larger company now, mostly in the Western US. I've served as the Tucson manager of that office, and we do well design, well installation oversight. I specialize in aquifer protection permitting, and I also work on a variety of environmental projects related to PFAS, chlorinated solvents. I'm really active in the Tucson, the TARP project, which is the TCE site in the southern part of Tucson. Even though I'm working as a hydrogeologist, geology is my first love. I lead geology raft trips every year through the Grand Canyon. I'm former president of Arizona Geological Society. I'm active in Arizona Hydrological Society, and I am a crazy dog lady. I love dogs. Thank you.
Thank you. Should have added the personal stuff, right? But
I know.
It goes on and on.
Yeah.
Steve Foley. Do another one.
Yeah, I represent Rex Scott District 1 along with Scott Oldendorf happily. I've been doing this, I don't know, 5 years or more, it seems like. Joining the rest of the geological fraternity here. I did my undergraduate in geophysics and then geological engineering at the University of Arizona. So I've worked in geotechnics for about 10 years in the Seattle area, and then 20 years as a senior stormwater engineer with King County, which is the Seattle area. That's pretty much the summary, but of course I'm a dog lover as well, and I enjoy working on this committee and hope that I'm able to contribute in some way to what we're doing. Thanks.
Anne Marie.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Wolf. And I think that I'm the longest standing committee member. I think I finally got that honor about a year ago, so I'm not sure how long I've been on the committee, 25, 28, 30 years. And I represent Adelita Grijalva, as does Rob. And I work for an environmental justice nonprofit, SARI, here in town. I've been there. We're having our 30th anniversary next year, so we'll be planning a celebration for that. Prior to that, I worked for Pima County Department of Environmental Quality. And before that, I actually worked in the biotech industry in California. My training is as a chemical engineer. And although I haven't done engineering for a while, I've been running the nonprofit. So, and I am a dog lover, but I don't have dogs. I have kitty cats. I like kitties. So, hey, yeah, someone else agrees. Okay. So, all right.
Thank you. Steve, did you say who you represent? I don't know if I caught that. Okay. Okay, Armando?
Good morning. My appointment, excuse me, Anne Marie, I think I've got one more year than you do. I was appointed by Danny Ekstrom, if you all will remember, Supervisor Ekstrom, and that was several moons ago. I'm a native Tucsonan, attended the University of Arizona. I spent 46 years in the construction field, both private and government, and focused on the civil end of it. Let's see. I also am a dog lover. The total of my construction years are almost half and half with private and government. So I had the opportunity to work for Pima County as a construction person on the private side. And so that is probably the only thing I bring to the committee on expertise, other than, like Rob, I'm kind of a person that throws out questions that maybe people haven't thought of or kind of think outside the box. I'm a member of the American Legion Riders, having spent 14 years in the service. And community-wise, I've been past president of Major Lions Club in Tucson, the Knights of Columbus, other agencies that I just volunteer time to, and I think that's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that all of our members?
That's all of them.
Okay. Then we'll stop there. There are a few other members from before, but did you all enjoy getting to know each other a bit? Was that a useful thing? I'm thinking, oh, good. I do want to pay attention to the fact that some of us that went earlier are also dog lovers. So I'd like to have an opportunity to raise your hand if you also enjoy dogs and cats. Okay. I just didn't want anybody feeling left out. No. There's a no over here.
Next time, let's all show pictures of our dogs because my phone is full of them. Okay.
I do think it would be fun to do one where we talk about, more personal stuff about what we do. But I think it's important. The reason I wanted to do that is that people come in and, when they're introduced first time, it's hard to connect. And we do all represent different supervisors or committees. Oh, look, there's an actual dog. Sorry, Steve, I was just blathering on. not paying attention to the important things like the dog. We do represent different parts of the community and different, geographic areas and different perspectives. And several people mentioned that they feel what they bring is a original voice, a different idea. I think that's something we can all strive to do, because that's the purpose of this committee is to provide that sort of context for Pima County wastewater decision making, and it's really an important role. I also had asked that we talk about what the goals of the committee are, and Jeanette very kindly provided me with some ordinance. For the purpose of time, I don't know that I want to go through all this now, but perhaps I could you can send it out, and
maybe we can discuss when we go through the work plan.
Yeah, we can talk about it when we go through the work plan. We could talk about it next time. But just to say that the main purpose is to advise Pima County Regional Wastewater Reclamation Department regarding its policies and rate structures related to treatment of wastewater. And there's a whole lot of things that are listed, such as capital improvement plan, the sanitary sewage system utilizing staff of wastewater. It's just a bunch of different things that are pretty obvious from what our past history is, but really good to read through and make sure we're really doing. And our relationship with, one thing that's not in here is our relationship to our supervisors or the people we represent, how we're doing that, and how we're engaged, if we are supposed to engage with the public or not as a committee. And so some of those things are worth sorting through and just thinking about over the next maybe 6 months of time, I think. Is everybody good with that? Those thoughts? Okay. All right. Well, if that's okay, we'll table the rest of the goals, and maybe Jeanette, maybe you could send this out to people. All right. Moving on to item 3, approval of the annual report to the Board of Supervisors. Has everybody had a chance to look at the annual report? It's big. This is it? No, that's not it. The annual report that came out. Yeah. 10 page. It's like, boy, I don't really remember this. I'm like, uh-oh. Yes, the 10 pager. Did everybody see that? Is anybody going to present on this, or are we just?
Basically, you had a correction, which we have noted and made. Did anybody else find any corrections or comments? Do you like it? I mean, did you approve it to be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors?
Did everybody have a chance to look at it?
You know what? I did not. Would it be okay if I have any comments if I email them to you, Jeanette? Okay, thank you.
When would you send this to the board?
Well, we need to have it approved by the committee so that we can have it printed and then forward to the board.
Okay, so if they could get comments by, say, next
Friday at the latest.
So maybe next Wednesday or
okay,
Tuesday, something like that. And then if they're just typos or anything, are we comfortable approving as with those amended changes if there's any typos that are found? Everybody comfortable with that? If so, I'd like to.
I've got a question. I have a question, Claire. If there's additional comments and it's going to change anything in there, shouldn't we look at that first before we approve?
I would suggest that it could, if they're typos, that would be okay to approve it. But if there's any substantive changes, it should come back to us. But people have had a long time to review it. So I looked at it. I didn't see anything that was substantive, but I did catch a typo, I believe.
Right away.
Hey, one of those that pops out. Are you comfortable with that? Does that sound okay to you, Armando?
Yes, as long as there aren't any substantial changes, I'm okay with it, but I don't know about everybody else.
I don't anticipate any substantial changes, but so I will, but if I have any thing that I see that stands out, I'll let Jeanette know.
So did you all have a chance to review it and identify any typos or errors?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Did you all have a chance to review it over the last month? And if you saw any typos, did you make note that, and that's what you're going to forward? Or are you just looking at it now?
I'm sorry, but I'll just be looking at it now. I dropped the ball.
No, that's okay.
I really don't anticipate that I'll have anything substantive to add.
And if you could just get those to me, say by Tuesday at the latest?
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect.
Okay, so actually I will make a motion that we approve the annual report to send to the Board of Supervisors with the condition that no substantial changes are submitted by next Tuesday. Is that the date we gave? And only typos. And if there are any substantial changes, it comes back to us for reconsideration at our next meeting.
I'll second that.
I will question again, if we do find a substantial change and have to wait till the next meeting, is that too late, Jeanette?
Jeanette? Thinking, and you think, like, I thought she didn't hear, but she was just thinking.
The goal was to have it approved and finalized today and get it going. But that's why we gave it to you guys last month. But if there is something substantial that needs your approval, then that it is what it is. And we're going to have to wait and approve it at the next meeting.
Jeanette, would it be possible to, if a substantive change came up, could you just circulate it by email to the group and do a vote that way? Is that allowed?
We could do it that way if everybody was in communication on the same email. That can serve.
But then that have to notice that because that's a public meeting if we're all on the same email.
It would have to be, we would have to do a notification.
I think it would be
easier just to wait till the next meeting. So that everybody could have a comment. Because say Allison has a substantive change, but Rob says, no, we don't need that change.
Oh, yeah.
You want that discussion to occur.
So I'm going to suggest that because I dropped the ball, I'm willing to go with the rest of the committee. If they are willing to approve it today, I'm willing to do that. And I apologize to the group. I think I've been disrespectful of your time.
Okay.
If the rest of the committee is okay with approving it as it is now, I am too.
In that case, I withdraw my previous motion.
Okay.
And would like to submit a new motion that we approve the annual report and for submittal to the Board of Supervisors.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Rob will second. Any discussion?
If we're gonna submit it now that Eric is on, should we change it? Because I think he's in Steve Christie's, right? And it was listed as vacant.
Oh, it's for last year.
But this is for last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had that discussion too.
Yeah. So any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. So may I make a suggestion that when the agenda is sent out, when we have an action item that is imperative, I know it was sent out last month, but a reminder the week before the meeting would be really helpful. Just a separate reminder. Don't forget this is on the agenda and to give it a quick review before.
Gotcha.
That would be really helpful, I think. It's so hard to remember time to time, you know.
It is for me. I apologize to the rest of the committee. I'll do better.
Oh, no. It happens. It totally happens. All right, we're gonna ask, moving on to item 4, which is a treatment division update with Jeff Pravat.
I'm gonna stand just because it's so darn cold in here. I gotta keep moving around. So treatment division is the largest division in our department. We probably have around 165 employees. We play a critical role in our community, public service, and we're also some of the most ardent environmental stewards in Pima County have to work that we do. So through our reclamation process, we reclaim clean water. We also do a lot of nutrient removal and biosolids amendments. And our latest project that you guys are all aware of, about 3 years ago, we started the renewable natural gas project over at Trace Rios. These are all the products that we produce from our wastewater treatment. We have a lot of new faces in our group as well. Some of you, if you interact with any of these people, you may know them. Kino, unfortunately, is retiring from us. He's our safety officer. He's retiring in February. Terry is my administrative lead. Trace Rios is the superintendent for Trace Rios. Desmond Reese, he's new. He replaced Joe Gonzalez, who retired this summer. He's our new head of maintenance. Sidney Chavez, he's our new lead for all of our SCADA, INC, and electrical activities. The new phase as well. Many of you interacted with Belinda in the past. She's our data management group. Arturo Mosagaray, he's head of our sub-regional facilities. And Alan Anton heads our process optimization group. And then we also, under contract with Jacobs next door, they're our operators for the Agua Nueva facility. That's our team of treatment. We have 7 wastewater treatment facilities, our 2 large ones that most people are aware of here in the metropolitan area. And then Green Valley, Outer Valley, Puerto de Guzman, small plant on Mount Lemon. And Arabaca, we have a pond facility that we're trying to get tied into the Green Valley facility. We will retire that facility over the next few years, hopefully. So in our environmental stewardship and some of the work that we're doing, I want to talk about projects that we have going on right now. So this is an update from last year. These are new things. We did our renewable natural gas at Trace Rios. That's been in operation for 3 years. And this year, this is kind of a small fraternity. Out of the 16,000 wastewater treatment facilities in the U.S., only 20 are doing RNG. So a small fraternity of groups doing this, but there'll be 36 online by 2025. And so it's rapidly taking off. And as a utility organization, WEF asked us last year, let's form an RNG task force, and well, Pima County lead it. So Pima County and WSSC out of Maryland were the 2 leading groups on this. Our concerns are that it's happening so rapidly that we've seen little incidences at places around the country. There's been small fires, explosions, and so we're saying, look, we got to get ahead of this as an industry, just like the petrochemical industry and refinery industry. We need a set of guidelines and rules so that something bad doesn't happen in one of our sister facilities somewhere in the country. So this is a task that we're leading up right now. Here is if you've been to Trace Rios and you've seen our gas plant, these are the final stages of it. So the digester gas is getting clean, the VOCs over here. Then it goes to a membrane skid. The artistry on the wall, this was done by local artist Ignacio Garcia. He painted this mural on the wall. It's called Evolution to Clean Energy. So it kind of starts out fossil fuels, like a 1950s gas station, has some nuclear power, and then wraps around the building to show the Santa Cruz River, fish, birds, and stuff like that. So it's dedication to our facility there. People ask me all the time, how successful has it been? So this is the dashboard that Belinda created for us. So we track our gas production, our RNG production, energy usage, how much does it cost me to run this facility? So when people say, what did it cost to run this facility? It cost me about $171,000 a year for electricity to run those compressors, right? Because I'm selling all of my gas to Southwest Gas right here, $500,000 a year, I have to purchase gas from them to keep my digesters, heating needs at the facility. It's more economical for me to sell my gas and buy their gas at a lower price. So this is a cost for us to operate the biogas facility. This is the deferred cost because I'm not using my gas on site, keep my digesters. We made almost $4.5 million revenue, right? So it's been very successful. One of the most successful ones in the country so far, other than Des Moines, Iowa. And so, and we have almost about a 91% uptime on this facility. You know, we have to take it offline to do maintenance, carbon changes and things like that. So we're trying to get this up to 95%. Most people are in the 70s, 80%. We're running around 92% uptime, and we're looking for ways to improve that all the time. Our biggest projects going on right now, they're both going on at Tres Rios. Tres Rios is our larger facility, so it does get the bulk of most of our work. You know, Jim Doyle's here right now. Jim Doyle's been doing a project out at Green Valley for the last year more. And that facility, Green Valley, we're looking to possibly decommission it, build a regional facility with the town of Sarita. So in doing that, in those negotiations with Sarita, we start to go through design, construction. Got to make that Green Valley facility last as long as we can, right? Got to stretch it out. And we don't want to invest a lot of money in something that we're going to turn around and retire. That would be foolish. And so Jim's been leading the process optimization effort out there, where we were able to put 100% of the flow through the plant, through the BNR facility, by combining operations from our lagoon facilities and pre-treatment, running it through the BNR facility, producing bad cat Class A product. And so we also have a project with HDR engineering right now to look at adding supplemental aeration at Green Valley. That's our limiting factor right now, is we're limited on clarifier capacity, but we're severely limited on aeration capacity in that ditch. And so the product that Jim and two of the operators out in Green Valley came up with this really clever scenario how to achieve that a different way, work beautifully. Those reports are going in right now to HDR. There'll be a technical memorandum, and I think Max is going to be working on a permanent amendment by later this month. And so we're looking for different ways to minimal cost, extend our existing assets until we can build these regional facilities. Here's where our biggest capital projects are right now. Solar dryer is about a $44 million project at Tres Rios. And then side stream treatment, we've been talking about analogs for a number of years. We started down this path with one contractor, didn't kind of go the route we liked, and so we postponed it, waited a while, came back out to bid for it again. And some of you may have taken the tours. We did Anamox piloting at the West Center for 3 years. I'm happy to say we did 2 products there. We did a traditional MBBR and a hybrid version with an IFAS with a clarifier. Those 2 products that we piloted here at Model, we're building the first one, and WSSC, my other partner in the RNG project, they're building the second one in Maryland, the only one in the world. And so the work that we do here with the University of Arizona and the piloting and research that we do here is translating into real world application. I'm really happy about that. So here's a cartoon, traditional wastewater treatment. We have sewage coming in, we treat it, we make all these great products, right? All these renewable outputs. Well, I have to purchase natural gas for my heating needs, and it uses a lot of electricity. We probably, that previous slide showed we use about $340,000 a year for natural gas needs. We're probably upwards of $3 million a year at Tres Rios for electricity, right? So anything I can do in this process to reduce my energy needs, it's going to save us money. It's going to reduce future rate increases. So we got to talking about what we need to do. What if we could reduce this by close to 100% if we could eliminate our natural gas purchases and maybe achieve a 20% reduction on electricity? You would do it, right? You do it in your home. Why wouldn't we do it with our ratepayers' money? So we did an energy master plan probably around 2021, and we also did a biosols master plan. That's how this new project came out of those 2 developments. We merged those 2 plans, and what we decided to do on our blowers, you know, aeration is the highest energy expense in all of our treatment facilities. It's probably 60% of our energy load at Tres Rios is our aeration needs to oxidize all that ammonia, get it out of the system. Right? The blowers that produce that air, the air temperature coming off of them is upwards of 250 degrees, very hot air. So we're going to put in heat exchangers. We're going to capture that waste heat water. It's going to come back into our process to heat our digesters. We gave Pima DEQ 2 years ago about $3 million to close the Iron Road landfill, put a dirt cap on it and close that landfill. It's predicated on wastewater getting the use of that landfill when we're done. And so we're now looking to make, right here. We're looking to put photovoltaics or concentrated solar on that landfill surface. That heat and that energy would come back into the trace rails grid. Anything to minimize that energy footprint we have at trace rails. And so both these two inputs will go back into our treatment process. And you say, well, how does the biosolids dryer fit into this? We would also use that heat to heat this biosolids dryer, right? So we'll have radiant heaters inside with heated floor underneath. Right now, we produce about 180 wet tons of biosolids every day. That's about 10 to 12 semis leaving trace rails every day, heading down the highway, sometimes all the way past Casa Grande. It's a large expense for us, upwards of almost $3 million a year hauling that. And it's a liability. There can be accidents on the freeways. We could spill material, the fuel that it's using. It's a logistical problem at trace rails, right? Wet weather, getting to the farmlands. Right now, we make a Class B product that can only be applied to privately owned farms. Most of the farmlands in Arizona, state-owned land, at least the farmers, biosolids on that, unless they make a Class A product. And as you all know, when land is sold off for development, it's the private lands that are sold first. And so our pool of acreage for Class B is getting smaller, smaller, and smaller every year. So we have to do something. So this biosolids dryer will take our biosolids we're hauling right now is about 20% solids. This will take it up to 75, 80% solids and get us a Class A product. So I'm going from 180 wet tons a day to 46 dry tons. That's a Class A. Now I won't need to haul to Casa Grande. I can haul it 10 miles down the road. So it's going to open up a lot of land to us. It's going to reduce our biosolids hauling costs tremendously. And if we can heat it all with renewable resources, the trace rails energy footprint isn't going to increase. So this is a really neat project. We toured solar dryers all over California. We just got back from Germany a few weeks ago, looking at installations over there. Most of the equipment that they use comes from Germany. And so we toured a bunch of installations over there. We're getting ready to inspect the equipment. This will be designed this year, constructed over the next year and a half.
May I ask, who will accept the dry solids, the Class A?
So obviously the farmers, but because it's Class A, a lot of these installations out in the country, you can buy it at Home Depot. It's a commercial product. So a lot of what utilities do is marketing product to say, this is the product you can use. Nurseries, golf courses, we have a lot of golf courses here. So and a lot of utilities do will make it available for residents. I don't think we want to do that. You want to avoid logistical nightmares. But this is a product that is marketable for sure. Research innovation. All familiar with PFAS issues with the groundwater here in Arizona. In 2020, we took a one-year moratorium on our landfilling, or our land application of biosolids, and landfilled it because we wanted to ascertain whether our 30 years of land application was potentially leaching PFAS to groundwater. And so we did that research for 2 years. I did some research for EPA here developing methods for microplastics, siloxanes. It's always been a problem when we were doing our own power production at Pina Road. Become more of a problem now that we're doing RNG because anybody west of the Rockies, your gas, your natural gas, if you're doing RNG, goes into the California pipeline. California has super stringent rules. Our siloxane limit on the West Coast is 0.1 milligrams per cubic meter. If you're in DC, like WSSC, theirs is 1.0. They get a 10-fold higher limit than I do. So all of us in California, Arizona, all the way up through Colorado, we're struggling meeting these really low siloxane limits. And what we are finding out is most of the country enjoys about a D4. The PFAS. This is a study we did in 2020. We published a research article, right? It was well received nationwide. Now they're reproducing that same research nationwide. We have 17 states that are undergoing this analysis, with 5 more thinking about it. 22 states are following an example that we did in 2020, looking at PFAS at 1 foot, 3 foot, and 6 foot intervals. They want to know, is PFAS contaminating groundwater in other parts of the country where they have different soil types, more precipitation, or is it not a problem that it's being uptaken in the cotton, the plant crops, and just being sequestered? And we didn't see a significant increase on land that had received biosalts for 1 year all the way to 30 years. So this was a really nice study. It was well accepted nationwide, and it's being reproduced. I'm proud of that. Siloxane, here we go. You have linear siloxanes and you have cyclical siloxanes. Siloxanes, it's in every hand lotion, every cream, women's makeup. It's here. It's here to stay, and it's increasing every year. So it's in wastewater, and they're enormous molecules. But what we have seen, you'll see these all in the landfill gas, but in wastewater, you see a lot more cyclicals. And it's just a matter of what goes out in food waste versus what we shower and wash up. Right? These are huge molecules, D6, D5, and D4. Most of the nation, they see D4 and some D5. But we're seeing a strange trend. All of us southern states, California, Texas, Arizona, some Colorado, we see D6. Why is that? We use more sunscreen here because we're southern, or we don't know what it is. But we have a D6 problem, and most of the carbons that we purchase are engineered for this. And unlike most carbons like H2S and VOCs, it's not a surface absorption. These big molecules have to get trapped within the pores of the carbon. So you need a different carbon that's manufactured, steam generated versus chemically generated. So Water Research Foundation gave us a tailored collaboration grant. All of you know me, I like to collaborate with other entities all the time. So we have Steve, you mentioned you're from King County. We got King County partnering with us, ourselves. We have Colorado and Maryland. So we're doing this tailored collaboration with Water Research Foundation, where we're trying different, we're going to construct this apparatus here, but we'll test different carbon vessels, different types of media that are made, steam generation, phosphoric acid generated, different carbon types to say, what's the most effective carbon for your waste stream, your waste stream, your waste stream, because these southern states see these large molecules. And right now, we're changing out carbon about every 120 days at Trace Rios at a cost of about $50,000. So my operational cost, if we can optimize this, my operational costs come way down, right? I'm not changing out carbon. And every day you have to take the system offline to do maintenance or change carbon, I'm losing revenue. And so our goal is to be able to select ideal media for your incoming waste stream, what's in your gas, so you can minimize those operational expenses. So this is a real full fun project. We'll probably start this around December, and it'll be about a 6-month project. We'll collaborate with our other nationwide utilities. AI. Everybody's heard about AI, right? We're scared to death of it. It's going to get us. It's going to take all of our jobs. We've been running AI next door ongoing for about a year, only looking at energy savings. I know this is tough to see, but this was the energy usage. This is a full 365 days a year. This was the energy usage in 2020. 2021, you'll see the green. And then last year when we started this, probably on April of last year, you'll see this drop in energy usage. This AI, it's continuing looking at different parameters that, operators, they set it, forget it. We're worried about permit compliance. This AI is always looking at, maybe you can tune this down a little bit, tune this down a little bit. Don't put so much air, tune down that blower. And so we were able to achieve almost a 20% reduction in power usage in RWRAC. In Delaware, they ran the same program and said, let's look at chemical usage. We pay a lot for chemicals, whether it's hypochlorite to disinfect, bisulfite for dechlorinating, ferric chloride, polymer for our biosolids. So in Delaware, they're doing chemical savings. And then throughout Puerto Rico, Jacobs runs many installations at different treatment facilities there. They're doing it for preventative maintenance. So for example, you have a pump or a motor and you've seen a vibration occurring over the last week, or the temperature has gone up 30, 40 degrees. There's probably a bearing that's wearing out there. So you can do preventative maintenance on it before some equipment fails, right? And so they approached us and they said, you know, all these first three projects, these are all Jacobs operated facilities. So it doesn't lend credits when we're patting ourselves on the back. We want a third party entity. Would we be willing to try this out at Tres Rios? We said, you bet. But I've got a unique problem with Tres Rios. I've got this gas plant that I'm running and I want to try to optimize all these moving parts on it. And so we're doing that right now at Tres Rios with RNG optimization. So it's going to look at how much ferric I have in my digesters, what the H2S levels are coming out, this regeneration process, all these things that would take a handful of people every day to do. This is going to be doing it in real time. And so kind of a fun project. This is the newest one, workforce development. We've had a hard time. We're doing this compensation study. We're having a hard time retaining people. We're having a hard time recruiting people. Some of our toughest positions to fill over the last few years were always electricians, SCADA operators, and INC personnel. And that requires a kind of skilled labor, and we can't compete with the private sector. And so they're not looking to come to utilities. And this is nationwide, it's not just a Pima County. And so our good friends next door at UA, they've been working with the Army for a number of years, developing these DPR skids for potable reuse for military applications. We can drop them in Conex boxes. We've been doing that for at least 6 years there. And in meeting with the Army folks, they came to us and said, man, we really like what you guys are doing because there's some way we can work together. We'd love to work with Pima County on a project. And I said, well, what do you have in mind? And they said, we have a real hard problem transitioning people from military life into civilian life. It'd be great if we could get them positions within the utility sectors. And I said, boy, we love it. Because the one thing about military personnel, they show up for work every day on time. You know, they got the right work ethic, and we like that. And so we started exploring different opportunities. And I said, you know, my biggest problem, I'm having a hard time recruiting people for instrumentation and SCADA. And they said, boy, we got people who repair stuff all day in the military. What can we work out with you? And so we developed a program here for SCADA and instrumentation technicians. And we're going to develop a course that will train people. We went out to all of our utility friends, Tucson Water, Southwest Gas, Scottsdale, Phoenix. We said, if you were to hire an INC or a SCADA personnel, what's the 10 skill sets you'd like them to have? And what's the top 3 or 5 they must have? And so we all filled out our little surveys and got it back, and they pretty much aligned pretty well. And so we started reaching out to people saying, well, who can teach this content? And they said, we're so desperate to keep people in our utility, we'll help teach the module. So this is how it came about. So here's the 10 must-have skill sets. I know this is hard to read for INC tech and for SCADA tech, right? So we developed these courses. And this is what it's going to look like. So all those 10 different, 20 different core competencies will be enrolled in these different 10 courses. And so the way it'll work, we're going to run academies at the West Center next door. We've taken all the DPR equipment from the old Water Innovation Challenge. That's a DPR skid. And we're going to have it set up in the high bay over there. So those people will come to this building, the room next door. They'll take these classes. The military will pay their salaries for 13 weeks. So for 3 months, they get paid by the military. And then each of our utilities will take them on as interns, right? And so now we have a steady flow of young, youthful, talented people coming into our organization. And let's say we get 10. If I can keep 1 here, I'm happy. So Tucson Water will take on some interns, Southwest Gas, in3 Engineering, the Valley utilities up in Phoenix as well. Our goal is that we get people coming out of the military to Southern Arizona. They like the weather, they like the work, they stick around and stay. So that was.
Can I ask you, each one of these courses, is it a week long or is it a?
It'll probably be like a week long each course, you bet, because the military's paying their salary for 13 weeks, so I gotta get this done in 13 weeks. Right?
Okay, yeah,
And
that's a lot of learning. That's really cool.
Yeah, and so maybe this is taught by my INC folks. Maybe this is taught by myself or somebody from the university. Maybe this is taught by Tucson Water and City of Phoenix. all of our utilities, because we all want these people as interns, so we all want to put eyes on them. So they'll, Phoenix maybe come down and teach 2 days, to some water 2 days. That's how we're trying to work all locally. So this is what we had in the semi when we were doing the project. So we have ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, UV AOP, chlorination, GAC. So all these processes, and it'll all be PLC driven. We're going to automate this. This was manual for a lot of it when we were doing the project. We're going to automate this with PLCs and SCADA. And so we'll be able to interject failures that they got to troubleshoot and diagnose and all this kind of stuff. It'll be a fun project. And our goal is that they've given us money for 3 years to do it. And so it'll be a 3-year project. The first year is developing the criteria. The second and third year will be running candidates to it. If it's successful, I think it'll be a continuous thing that's implemented permanently. Models after others will model after ours as well. But these are our partners so far. So we have the Department of Defense and the Army, the UA and Pima County. We're the ones constructing the academy next door and going to provide the resources for training. And these are all our local partners. We have M3 Engineering, Jacobs, HDR, EPCOR. Those are our private firms. Utilities, Southwest Gas, City of Mesa, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Tucson Water, ourselves. And we keep recruiting. I think Tempe and Gilbert have expressed interest and want to join too, because we're all in the same boat. And what happens is Miranda will pay $1 more and steal my staff to go over there. So Rita will do the same thing. It happens up in the Phoenix Valley area as well. So we're all robbing from each other to keep talent in our. We can work together and we have enough talent to go around that we're not stealing from one. So that's probably the funnest project we'll start. We have to have everything designed and the curriculum by next summer, and so we can start rehearsing it. Those are the fun stuff that we're doing in treatment.
That is great. Are there any questions or comments? Allison?
Hi, yes, that was very interesting. I want to go back to the first thing you brought up, which was the biogas plant. I recall that in the few months after it started operating, Jackson had noted that it wasn't operating quite as hoped and that you were speaking with the company that designed or supplied the plant. It sounds like those issues have been resolved. Is that correct?
Largely, you're right, Allison. So we've never been able to produce the flow rate that it was designed for. So we're pushing about 550 SCFM right now. It was designed for 675. We've never been able to get that amount through there. So we still flare a little bit of gas. So right now we're having continued discussions with the manufacturer saying, we paid for a car that'll go 75 miles an hour. You sold me a car that was 55. What's the problem? And so it's running perfectly and fine as it is. We just can't get the flow rate that it was designed for. And so I think what's on the table right now, they're thinking that during the initial construction, they damaged some of the membranes. We've sent some membranes back out to the manufacturer in Netherlands to be looked at. And I think the topic right now is they're going to replace all the membranes in the skid and possibly do some modifications to one of the compressors. One of the compressors may be undersized as well. And so, but for the most part, it's working very well. We are burning carbon a little bit faster than we thought, but who knew we had this T6 carbon issue until we started running?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Other comments? Yes.
I have a question. This is outside my expertise, so maybe a silly question, but when you're talking about recovering the heat in that thermal project, and so you're taking the hot air off the blowers and removing the heat, using it there, and then it goes. Does that have any effect, benefit, or so for the aeration in the treatment plant with that air being a different temperature?
It'll improve it because right now I'm putting super hot air into all those reactors and just equilibrium. It's going to rise to the surface really quick. So the more I can keep air in solution, the better it's going to be. We get better aeration in the winters than we do in summer, right? And so it should definitely improve it. And it's not going to heat up my reactors. All of our reactors are covered for odor control. So that heat stays in there and it does affect the biology. So it'll definitely improve it for sure.
Great. Other comments and Any comments or questions for Jeff? That's excellent presentation. Always great to hear the cool things you guys are doing. Yeah. We're going to move on to the financial subcommittee report. Matt, if you'd like to give us that.
The financial subcommittee has not met since this committee's last meeting, so we have a negative report.
And then we're going to move on to the CIP subcommittee. Asia is not here, I believe. No. Yeah. So I don't believe anybody else has a report from them. I'm not sure they met. They did not. Okay. And then the 2023-24 period 2 expense and revenue summary. Is Isaiah here?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'll share my screen. There you go. And for period 3, still being early in the year, we are still projecting our adopted budget. But as you heard, changes are coming regarding employees' payroll. So there'll be some changes that need to be made in order to cover those overages that are happening. So for period 3, we'll have a different forecast projected and see how we can accommodate those overages on that. But for period 2, we are projecting to be on budget. Any other questions?
Any questions for Isaiah? No?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to Allison's report on the Citizen Water Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Claire. CWAC met on September 6th. John Kamik, the Tucson Water Director, reported that we're trending slightly down over last year regarding potable water demand, and reclaimed demand is also slightly lower. Mayor and council, we always get an update on mayor and council's activities. They did a PFAS update in August. The city has acquired property for a new well that will intercept the PFAS plume moving north through the city. The city has signed agreements with Phoenix and Scottsdale to store water in the Tucson recharge basins in Avra Valley. And also Mayor and Council issued a notice of intent to adjust commercial and industrial rates, which I'll talk a little more about in a minute. Let's see, the One Water 2100 plan went into study session. Let's see what else. Colorado River update. Of course, you all probably know we had a really good winter last year. We're currently in a tier 2 shortage for 2023, but we're going to be probably going back up to a tier 1 in 2024. So that's good news. The winter snowpack was about 173% of normal last year. That's wonderful. I don't think we're going to see that again, but it's still early to say. The city does plan to order 114,000 acre feet of Colorado River water in 2024. They generally have bought about 143,000 acre feet a year. So the city is doing their part in leaving some water in Lake Mead. The city had received some $5.5 million from a federal program that they were planning to use for a low-income household water assistance program. And Tucson Water advertised that far and wide to help low-income folks pay their water bills. The funds ran out earlier than expected, though, because it was also opened up to folks who needed rental assistance. And so that money got diverted to that program. So the $5.5 million has been spent. Another issue, CWAC had suggested that we consider commercial and industrial rate changes in order to promote conservation. So the mayor and council directed Tucson Water staff to come up with a different rate structure. It's revenue neutral, which means there will be some winners and some losers, but overall total revenues won't go up. CWAC was presented with two options for changing these commercial rates, and we picked the one that was the least, which we thought would be the least shock for businesses. It is anticipated to increase consumption by 10% in the upper rate tiers. So that was our recommendation to mayor and council. I think they'll probably go with our recommendation. Tucson Water struggles with the same staffing updates that Pima County Wastewater does. Vacancies are down. We're down from 111 in March to 87 in September. Retention is a priority, and 3% raises across the board were given out this summer. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Any questions from anybody? Thank you very much for that report. And now we'll move on to the last items on our agenda, the future agenda items, which is G. Perhaps we could bring back the goals of the committee just to have a discussion. Oh, let's see. So this is for next month. We have only got the director's update. I'm sorry, I don't know what the arrows mean.
Treatment was postponed to this meeting, which is September.
Yes.
Okay.
And so
conveyance is moved.
Oh, okay. So we're going to have conveyance. Jaime's going to give a conveyance division update, or perhaps that's you.
Yep.
Okay, Eric is going to be
back.
giving that.
Oh, yes.
So the switcheroo happens next week. So we'll be having that, and then we're going to have the budget report, and maybe we can have the goals and
go through the ordinance.
Go through the ordinance and the goals. That sounds good. Anything else that people would like to add to that? And to next month's agenda, that's October 26th. No? Okay. Hearing none, that's great. A call to the audience, the final call to the audience. Nobody? All right. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I so moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Like, I just really want to stay longer here in this meeting. No? Okay. All those in favor say aye, or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, what a great meeting. Really fun to see everybody get to know you a little better. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting for today. Have a good month.
Thank you, guys.